I mean, the
Mm,
Mirage is the cheapest car on the market. So, I
yeah.
mean, we should be selling 100 of those a month with the conditions of the economy right now. Not doing it. They're actually taking the Mirage away. This is the last year of the Mirage. So,
Yeah.
it's actually going to be a real Mirage because it's not going to exist anymore. But
That's good. Welcome back to another. This is going to be a very fun-filled episode of Chicks in Charge. I am Shasta, and as you can tell, I am solo today. It's okay. Jess will be back very soon, but I am solo today. She left me to handle things by myself. And I conjured up a very cool guest for you guys. This gentleman is a friend of mine. He is a dealership owner in Pennsylvania. Has a lot of things going on, and he has promised to be very, very raw and honest with us, which I am very excited about. So I want to introduce you to Mike Dorazio of Platinum, Central Pennsylvania. Hello.
hey, what's up, Shasta? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
I am so excited for this. I'm so excited. So if by chance any of our listeners do not know who you are, give us a little bit of intro, how you came to be a multi-dealership owner and all of the things that you've got going on in your entrepreneurial world.
Well, I've been in the car business 35 years. I kind of rose through the ranks, sales manager, finance manager, general manager, part owner, switched gears at, 20 some years ago and went to work for a bank called Westlake Financial and really got a background in lending for 10 years. And in 2012, I decided to start my own company, and I broke off January 2013. I had, I think, 2 employees at that time, and I built a company, eventually had 6 car dealerships, 3 pre-owned, 3 Mitsubishi stores, opened up an auto auction in 2022 in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, started my own media company, and, kind of got almost too big for my britches there for a little bit. And so now we're downsizing. We've been downsizing over the last 2 years. I closed 2 pre-owned stores. I sold 2 Mitsubishi stores. So currently I have a Mitsubishi store in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. I have my original store, which is Platinum Pre-Owned in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is my best and most productive store. I have an auto auction in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania called Freedom Auto Auction. I have my media company, which does a lot of media for not just us, but for other people as well. So it's been a pretty interesting journey, and I look forward to continuing it and, going on to different things. So
You are busy.
yeah, I'll tell you what, it's been a crazy ride. When I look back, I was thinking about when you go through struggles, and let me be clear, like we've been struggling for well over a year, right? And, subprime market's getting crushed a little bit. Not a little bit. I'm sugarcoating that. Like the subprime market is getting crushed, right? And we can get into that a little bit more later. But, I was looking back, and, the saying that goes like, be thankful for what you have today because, 10 years ago, you wished you had that. And I think about that all the time because when I started out, I had like two employees. Man, we had this little rinky lot across from a diner with 25 cars on the lot. And I was happy to sell 30, 40 cars a month. So, to watch that journey and watch it slowly grow to 20 employees, 30, 40, 50, we eventually had 200 plus employees. And, we had 6 rooftops, an auction, a business development center, and a corporate office and a media company. So we literally had 9 separate operations going on. And it's crazy because at that time, you have to really think about, do you have the right people with you? You have the human capital that you look at, and are you short? And you have to really depend on the market. And a lot of times you get too big, you get too spread out. Instead of getting capitalized this way, you use that capital and get spread out. And if the market shifts on you, guess what? You're caught into a pinch, and that's kind of where we found ourselves in the last year. But yeah, I've been busy. It's been crazy. I look forward to this. I like the challenges that I put in front of myself, and I kind of thrive off of that. I thrive off of being overwhelmed and trying to figure it out, right? Like FitFo, figure it the F out. So it's been good, and I'm blessed to have all the opportunities that I presented myself with.
So I want to ask you, when you started the first dealership in Carlisle, did you say that was 2013?
Yeah, 2012, I incorporated. 2013, the first week of January. So 12 years ago right now, this time period, we opened up our first store. And, I had two guys, and we sold, I think it's 17 cars the first month. So, 12 years ago, we sold 17 cars. The second month, like 22. I think by the third month, we were in the 40s, and we kind of never looked back.
Wow.
It's been kind of a rocket ship kind of ride, because after about a year and a few months, we got a new building, which is where my old Chrysler dealership, where I'm currently at with my pre-owned store. It was a big 22,000 square foot building, drive through, a legit store. We were in the 100 a month range within a year and a half of originally opening, and it's been a crazy ride. And like after that, we looked for a second store. So in 2018, we ventured out, and I got a second store, which was coincidentally enough, it was another closed Chrysler Jeep store, full
Seeing a
dealership.
trend here.
Yeah, and we got that, and we eventually turned that in 2019 into a Mitsubishi store. And then COVID happened, and I kind of hit the gas when everybody else during COVID kind of sat back, which was probably the right thing to do in retrospect. Now when I'm thinking about it, I shouldn't have gone for like this massive growth, but I did. And we went, in 2020, we opened up another pre-owned store. I got another Mitsubishi store in Lancaster, so Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. 2021, I opened up another store in Sealsgrove, Pennsylvania. 2022, I opened up a store in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I also bought an auction in 2022. So it was like this massive growth. I saw an opportunity. We were successful. We had a good group of people, a good core group of people. I saw the market, and we were all going through that COVID money. And, I didn't realize how bad the market would shift, especially for subprime. So I felt that was my time. If I was ever going to go for it, I went for it. I did. I don't regret it. I mean, it's paid, it's given me a lot of experience. It has been painful when you start to backtrack, because I'm not a defensive kind of guy, right?
Right.
I like to be on offense. So
Right.
when you have to play defense and kind of save your ass with some of these struggling stores, it becomes extremely challenging, both, financially, emotionally, mentally, just all around. So it's been quite a journey.
I like the way you put that with offense and defense. We're obviously huge football fans here, and I imagine you are too. And so getting to think about it in that way, and the growth pattern being the offense, and then the savior mode being the defense is, I mean, it really is what it is. And this market hasn't been kind to anybody. I asked that question because I'm curious, what led you into wanting to start a franchise store after, having so much success in independence?
Well, I think, if I'm being honest, which I like to be all the time, it's a little bit of ego, a little bit of credibility. Obviously, the banks that come along with that, the floor plan companies that kind of embrace you a little bit better, just all around recognition in the community as being kind of legitimate, so to speak. And I went with Mitsubishi, and Mitsubishi was very strong at the time. I had a long-time friend that had a Mitsubishi store, was very successful with it. He gave me a nod. I got a point that wasn't open for 9 years, so it wasn't in my market. And we came out of the gate, and I think the fourth month that we were in business, we were in the top 40 Mitsubishi stores out of 330 Mitsubishi stores.
Wow.
So it was very gratifying, not just to work that hard to get it, but once we get it, we got it, to be successful at what we were doing with it. That was right pre-COVID. I think it was July, August of 2019 that we actually got Mitsubishi. By the end of 2019, right prior to COVID coming in 2020, we had reached that top 40 level. So that's what prompted me, that level of success, to keep chasing it in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
In retrospect, when I look back at it, I probably should have stopped right there and really concentrated on the two major success stores I had.
Yeah.
And kind of grown this way, which is like capitalization, right? Pay off your inventory, own your inventory, own as much as you can, put as much cushion in the bank, right? So if you're making all that money, hold it, pay down your inventory, so you don't need the floor plan as much anymore. What I did was I went for store number 3, 4, 5, 6, auction, corporate, and wasn't capitalized to the point that I probably should have been, because I thought I'm just going to keep growing. I can worry about capitalization and growing and putting money in the bank later. If I have an opportunity to grow, the money's there. I'm going to do it. In retrospect, that wasn't the right decision. But anybody can play Monday morning quarterback, right? And say, hey, I shouldn't have thrown that. I should have done that. But at the time, making those decisions, I thought they were the best decisions for everybody. I didn't imagine what would come. I knew going through the COVID money and everybody was pounding their chest and everyone was the best salespeople on the planet and every store was the best ever. And everyone was setting records. What I always say is when things are really good, you're not as good as you think you are.
Right.
Right. But you also have to remind yourself when things are really bad, you're not as bad as you think you are. Right. As long as you have confidence in your own abilities, right? Things are going to get good. They're going to get bad, but you have to maintain that confidence that you're going to be able to pull through on the highs and the lows. And, that's what I've been dealing with over the last year or so.
So in talking about that and knowing that when the market's bad and you're not doing so bad yourself, what was the final thing that made you, and I remember talking to you back when you did this, what was the final straw that made you decide to close the first set of stores?
It was really just financial statements. We had July of 2022, we had opened our 6th store in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We were selling cars like candy bars in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So, and it was a great store. I put a lot of money into that store, revamped it was an old VW store, I believe. And so maybe it was really the financial statements. We were literally on the edge at the 4th quarter of 2022. We were looking to buy a CDJR store, which by the state of CDJR today,
Glad you did.
I didn't have like 3 Mitsubishi stores and a CDJR store. That'd be like having COVID 3 times and the flu all at the same time, right? Like that's like you got like 4 viruses, right?
Yeah.
So what made me is just like really the financial statements. And we, at that time, in 2022, that was, I don't know if anyone remembers, but that 4th quarter was the major shift in used car value. So we were stuck with, 600-700 pre-owned vehicles, on 6 lots and a major shift in values. And, we had to write off a lot. We wanted to be healthy going into 2023. So we wrote down a lot of inventory that we were stuck with. And I was looking, I said, okay, I have 4 stores making money, 2 stores that are relatively new. I just didn't have the wherewithal or the dedication to put into those 2 stores to bring them to profitability at a time that I saw it going backwards. I saw the writing on the wall. And I said, okay, if I shut these 2 stores down and concentrate on the 4 that I know are successful, and that's what I did. So that was 2023 going, and I made the decision early in 2023, and we didn't close till May 31st of 2023. But I think it was December of 2022 is when I finally decided, based on the financial statements and what they were producing, to close them. I just wanted to get more healthy.
Yeah.
And 2023 was okay, but I saw, things shifted with Mitsubishi then, and I don't want to bash my OEM. Or maybe I do, but they changed in 2022, 2023. So when you look at like the effects of COVID didn't just affect the people in the industry. Whether you're vendor, sales, whatever, and these COVID babies that we talk about that came in and they thought this car business, you just like laid down and made money. It didn't only affect those people negatively in a lot of respects, but some of the OEMs, I can't speak to other ones other than the ones I deal with and the one I deal with, they got kind of high on their own supply too, man. Like they're like, okay, we're the greatest thing ever. We've had the best financial year ever, and what did they do? They took away, and they're looking at your financial statements every month. So these OEMs are saying, wow, our dealers are making a lot of money and maybe we're not making enough money. So let's cut back this. Let's cut back that. We started losing dealer cash, customer rebates, stair-step money, management money, you name it. It was hard to get money out of the OEM.
Mm-hmm.
For our margins, what used to be 3 times what they are now, They just got compressed. And that's not only the OEM that caused that compression, but what happened especially when you talk about Mitsubishi, you talk about subprime, you talk about subprime used primarily, which is what we do. You had like a perfect shitstorm. Excuse my French there, but you really did. You had consumers that are suffering, from inflation and their monthly bills. I mean, you name everything went up: groceries, insurance, rent, gas, everything went up. Not just a few, everything went up. So you have that now on the consumer side. So you have their monthly bills are going up, their budgets are short. Then you also have, the disposable income or disposable cash. They didn't have any. They ran out of that because they're trying to catch up with this. Then you have the banking side of it. The banking side, they're suffering high delinquencies. So what happens, now these guys can't pay for their car. Now our delinquencies are up. So what happens when they have high delinquencies? Their fees go up. Their underwriting policies completely change. So now you have the consumer doesn't have any money. The consumer can't afford the car payment. The underwriter doesn't want to give them a loan. And the interest rate went up. We didn't even mention that. The interest rate went up. So even if all those other things fit, their payment just jumped 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks a month. And they can't afford it anymore. So you have this perfect storm over here of what's going on with, inflationary things. And you also have the OEM over here with a level of, maybe, I wouldn't call it greed. That's a harsh word. But their eye on the bottom line of their profitability. They were pounding their chest at the end of the year, the most profitable year they ever had. And the dealers were looking at each other like, hey, you had a rough year, didn't you? Like, yeah. So, that would be like me as an owner of a dealership coming in and holding a meeting with my staff and saying, I had the best year ever. And since I had the best year ever, I'm cutting your pay. Or since I cut your pay last year, guys, I've had the best year ever. Like, let's give myself a round of applause.
Yeah. I would be interested to see that not every person would walk out of that room. And it's amazing that Mitsubishi hasn't had the same thing happen to them. Or the OEM in general.
I'm sure someone from Mitsubishi is going to watch this, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. But I'm not saying anything that's not the truth. Like these programs went away. The margins went down. It was harder to make money. Everybody that I talk to in my industry that has my brand is suffering the same thing. It's a compression of margin. Now, was it all the OEM? No. It's literally the OEM, the customer, the lender, the market, you name it. It's just a perfect storm. If I could have went into 2022 and you say, Mike, write down what needs to happen for your world to really suck. Those are the things I would have wrote down. I would say, well, inflation goes through the roof. Delinquencies go through the roof. Underwriters aren't writing loans anymore. The OEM takes away our money. Customers don't have any cash, and so on and so on and so on. And we're not even getting into the volatility of the used car market itself, where the higher end vehicles were got a lot harder to sell, and you had to, really adjust your business models.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride for a couple of years.
Yeah. And I think of brands like Toyota that never really, I don't want to say never came back from, that inventory shortage. They learned something during that time that if a customer wants something particular, they'll order it and wait for it. And they never went back to the level of inventory that they had before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it makes you wonder how that's impacting the dealers, and not just the Toyota dealers, but the other dealers in the communities around them. And are they losing deals because of it?
It's a completely different ballgame. And I think until somebody, and I can't speak to other OEMs, but until somebody really understands that there's a real opportunity to grab market share here. And I thought it would be Mitsubishi. I thought Mitsubishi is going to kind of sit back because of the inflation, right? Gas prices. I mean, when you're thinking new car and you want to save money and you want to be good on gas and you want to pay out of the pocket monthly payments, the first thing you're going to think of is Mitsubishi. I mean, the Mirage is the cheapest car on the market. So, I mean, we should be selling 100 of those a month with the conditions of the economy right now. Not doing it. They're actually taking the Mirage away. This is the last year of the Mirage. So, it's actually going to be a real Mirage because it's not going to exist anymore. But
that's good.
and it's crazy. And I think that they're an OEM that understands that this is a perfect time to really capture market share. Go out there and put money on these cars, overproduce these cars, load up your dealers, right?
Yeah.
Make it attractive for the bank to underwrite those cars. When you go back to 2019 on a Mirage, where it had $2,500 on it, and the sticker was 16, the banks liked it. Now the sticker's 19 something, and there's no money on it, or very little money on it.
Yeah.
So no wonder the bank doesn't want to underwrite that. Right. No wonder the consumer doesn't want to pay, $500 a month for a Mirage, where back in 2019, you could get that same car for $300 or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, it reminds me, and I've had my eye on Mitsubishi for a few years. The store that I used to work at here in town actually opened up a Mitsubishi arm and has since closed it.
Really?
All through the same time period. But I have
sold it. They just
they opened it up in the same store. It's a Kia store. They opened it up in the same store as the Kia location and just closed the Mitsubishi portion of it and are just operating Kia now.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but they're a lot like you, where they focus on subprime customers, and Kia stopped really having a lot of good solutions vehicles for.
Well, and I think it's a shame because Mitsubishi has shifted away from embracing the subprime customer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know. They will tell you that they want to run away from that stigma of being the subprime brand, and I get it.
A long time.
I get it, but to me, do you think Walmart wants to run away from being the stigma of Walmart? Embrace who you are.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Do you think I'm ashamed that I'm selling 450 credit scores? Do you think I'm ashamed of the people sitting in my showroom that, might be undesirable sitting in other showrooms? Right? No, absolutely not. I'm not. Those people have paid my bills for a good majority of my life, and serving them and providing them with solutions has provided me with a pretty dang good life. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think as an OEM, they should look at it and say, hey, let's embrace this. This is who we are. If we're going to be this, let's be the best at this. Instead of getting into a crowded category of trying to be like everybody else. It's like, well, we want to be like, no, dude, embrace who you are. If Walmart tried to shift right now and be like Target, it would be a disaster. Right? They're like, hey, no more of this. We're not having this price. We're changing our pricing. We're going to be more expensive. We're going to dress up our stores a little differently. We're going to put a blue circle out instead of a red circle at Target. And we're going after that market. That would be a disaster. Yeah. Walmart knows who they are. They've embraced it. McDonald's knows who they are. They've embraced it. They're not trying to be TGI Fridays, man. They're trying to be McDonald's. I don't get
it. I think it's similar, watching these. I'm going to say two brands. I'm going to tell you which two brands I'm talking about. Watching these two brands as they've evolved over the years, I compare one to the other. The first one being Kia, because I feel like Kia started off at that place where they were the solutions vehicle. They had the cheaper ones. If you owned a Kia, more than likely you were pretty damn broke. And then over, the 2010 to 2015 period really evolved. Still keeping those solutions vehicles for those people, but then evolving and adding new vehicles, changing their layout of their vehicles, adding new models. And I don't see that Mitsubishi did that, where I felt like 2 years ago, they were on that path of having the good vehicles and the solutions vehicles, and they never finished evolving.
They never really, and that's what's frustrating for us. The 2022 Outlander and the 2022 Eclipse Cross came out in the summer of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
We're circling 4 years here since they've introduced a new model.
Yeah.
So the dealer bases, and they're taking away the Mirage. So we're not only not introducing new models, we're taking away models.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think dealers are very confused on where we stand as a dealer base for this manufacturer. And look, I sold 2 Mitsubishi stores. And I have a friend of mine that had 3 Mitsubishi stores. He's sold one, selling a second, going to sell the third.
Yeah.
That has to tell you something about the brand, unfortunately. I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, I was just about ready to get those 3 diamonds tattooed on my neck right here. And then when I was sitting in the chair and they were getting ready to do the diamonds, man, I got the new rebate sheet and I was like, oh, hold on.
I mean, it's true. And I hope that if by chance anybody from Mitsubishi listens to this, that, maybe they take that into consideration, pass it up the ladder, and, hopefully make those changes for the dealers. It does say something that we haven't had a new model in
And
years.
and like I said, my struggles, I'm not going to blame them on anybody, and I'd like to make that really clear. Like what I'm going through personally, what my company's going through personally, are all decisions that I've made. I
Yeah.
will never point the finger like that. This is why this is going on. I'm just explaining factors. The
Right.
OEM's one of them, right? Inflation's another. The banking industry's another.
Mhm.
The disposable income's another. So like there's all these factors that just kind of come together. But I made the decision to take on these ventures. I made the decision to expand into these multiple stores, and things shifted for me. So I got to take responsibility for that and kind of revamp what I'm doing. And what we're doing now is like we're just really trying to get back to a really well-oiled used car operation at our Mitsubishi store.
Yeah.
So
Is the one in Mechanicsburg, was that your first Mitsubishi store?
that was my first Mitsubishi store, and it was my most successful. It was actually ranked 9th in the country in 2021 year end for the year.
Wow.
Total sales. And that's out of, like I said, 330 dealers. So it was a top 10 year end store, and it was very successful. And that was only after being in business for less than 2 years that we hit that, So 2020 was our first full year. 2021, we hit top 10. And, I'm pretty, it's just changed, the company itself has changed. I mean, I wouldn't have got 3 stores had I not been very satisfied with what I was seeing with Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
It just shifted. 2023 was a shift. It kind of went the other way.
Yeah.
I think they will find their way. I'm praying they find their way. But I can't wait for them to find their way. So in the meantime, I have to shift, and pivot my business model to something that works for us. It's been a struggle. We've been getting our rear end kicked. Now we had, at one point we had 3 Mitsubishi stores that were losing money consistently every month. And that's, you can't sustain that, right?
Right. Well, it's like they say, you always got to put your own oxygen mask on before helping others.
Yeah, exactly. And we just have to make sure that we, and that's why, I think, I've made the right decisions along the way in the last couple of years by closing those 2 pre-owned stores, selling the first Mitsubishi store, selling the second Mitsubishi store, kind of shrinking down my footprint and concentrating. Plus, I got a lot more involved in the minutia of the day-to-day business, where I try to, when you get that big, you're kind of relying on your other people, that this guy's running this store properly, that guy's running that store properly. Give me my reports, give me my financial statement, give me this. And if it all looks good, you're good. And you don't really see what's broken.
Right.
When things are great, it really disguises all the broken shit. Well, when the ship's taken on water, you finally find the freaking holes.
Yeah.
And
you gotta hope that it's not too late to patch them up.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I hope this doesn't take us down. And that's where we've been. We've been in straight survival mode for the whole year of 2024. Trying to sell a couple of these stores, get those liabilities off of our plate, boost up the stores, the 2 that we have left. The auction's been suffering a little bit because of that too, because when we had 6 stores, we were feeding the auction with 6 stores worth of trade. So they're kind of feeling a little bit. My media company used to buy media for 6 locations. Now it's buying it for 2 locations. So it's an adjustment of sort, and we just have to figure out how to fit into this new body,
Yeah. So, with all that being said, and all of the changes that you've made, how are you going into 2025, and what are you doing differently to avoid having another 2024? And I know most of it's uncontrollables, but what are your controllables?
Well, I think like this morning we had a line by line, financial statement and expense meeting, with one of my GMs and my controller of the one store. Those types of things is really recognizing like everything that goes on in that store financially speaking, and road mapping out like, okay, this is what part sales needs to look like. This is what service hours need to look like. This is what units need to look like. This is what the per unit needs to look like. This is what the back end of those deals need to look like. This is how we're going to look at our manageable inventory with our turn. Like all these things that you kind of get loosey goosey on when things are good, but like you got to get disciplined on your inventory turns, your lead counts, your conversions, like your activities, and every little aspect of it. And are you talking to every customer in the service drive? Are you doing all these little things? Because this is I always tell people when we talked about football earlier, this is a game of inches, just like football. If you're selling 100 cars a month in a store, just do $200 less per copy. It adds up, right? And if you're selling 4 cars a day, a 25 business day month, and it's 100 cars, and you just start to slip to where it's 3.5 cars a day. Now you're 12.5 units down. Now not only are you 200 a unit down, but now you're 12.5 full units down, and and it ends up being a $50,000-$60,000 swing. So it's really these little increments. If you need to have 3 appointments a day to sell a car as an individual salesperson, that's dial into the minutia of how do I get those 3 appointments a day? I know I have to sell 1 car a day, and it's just so that whole picture that we're kind of like getting back to like all the basic things that we need to pay attention to, from lead sources, lead handling, inventory management. The list goes on and on. Sales, service, parts. It's just getting dialed in.
Do you think the staff that, maybe came on during those COVID times is capable of getting back to the basics if they never knew it?
Well, I think like what we're going through, or what we see anyways in my personal situation, is like the people that are still in these 2 stores, we've got probably the best team right now. And look, the people that show up every single day and know that you're struggling as a company and see me as a leader closing a store, selling a store, they see the stress they see it on my face. These guys tell me, like, I could tell you're stressed by looking at you, right? And those people that stick around and show up every single day, and they're the people like, what can I do for you, Mike? Like, I feel bad that I can't do more. Like, so right now, I think when you go through these periods of, the ship's kind of taking on water, we've already grabbed the dead weight and thrown them overboard. And if we didn't grab the dead weight and throw them overboard, they voluntarily jumped overboard because they saw what was going on. So what you're left with are the people that are dedicated to being on that ship, and they're ready to take the bucket and help you start bailing, and they're going to get you straight. So people-wise, we're good. We just need the market to cooperate with us a little bit better. We need to have those little increments of effort to change to where, if you're selling 20, 22 cars a month, I need to get you to 25, 26, whatever. If you're wrenching this many hours, I need you to pull. And if you're a service writer, I need you to upsell this much. If you're a service manager, maybe, reach out to some previous customers, like get those hours. Like everybody has to be with a bucket and doing their part.
Yep.
So I think, going into this year, I feel really, really good. I really do. I'm an eternal optimist. Even when I'm getting my ass kicked, I'm like, I'll win this. I could be fighting Mike Tyson and be like, I'll get him.
You would win that.
We all right now, I'm like,
maybe if you're fighting Jake Paul.
Exactly. But I'm confident, and I'm really optimistic about 2025. I think subprime will come back. I think the banks have digested a big portion of their delinquencies. I think they'll get an appetite back for more subprime. I think the volatility in the used car market kind of levels out. New cars pick back up. We start getting trades. I think it's that leveling out year, and I think we'll improve slowly.
I think that may have just answered my next question, but I'm sitting here wondering, will you ever take the easy bait of no longer advertising to subprime?
We've tried to do that. We've tried to shift, but our brand for 12 years, so this is our 12-year anniversary here in January, we're so branded. Like, it would be like Walmart trying to tell you there's somebody else. It
Yeah.
would be like McDonald's trying to tell you that they no longer are a burger joint, that they're selling steaks, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. They're going to shift their model. They're always going to be McDonald's. We've done such a powerful, maybe to our detriment, we've done such a powerful job at branding who we are and what we do. Like, we get you done, baby. Like, so that's embedded in people's minds. Places I go, they say it back to me. People, just random people, we get you done. Like, it's everywhere. So for me to change that or to not capitalize as much as I can on that would be terrible, waste. What we can do is shift and try to add maybe a little different thing to the menu. So McDonald's, maybe now they have chicken salads and, grilled steak salads and stuff to cater to a different customer, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to kind of implement a different layer of our business. But I don't think we'll ever go away. And I think subprime comes back because those customers are still out there.
Yeah.
It's not that the customers aren't out there. We do not have a shortage of people that want to buy cars.
Yeah.
We have a shortage of people that have the ability right now in this market to buy a car.
Yeah, because we can talk crap. I mean, not us, but the industry can talk crap on subprime customers. Replace that word subprime with the people who need a car as opposed to people who want a car.
I always say that it's an entry-level buyer.
Exactly.
It's not subprime. Like I told Mitsubishi, like, you guys keep saying we don't want to do subprime. Just change your verbiage. Change it from subprime to entry level. And you can just look at it as re-entry if it's a subprime. Right? Mm-hmm. It's still entry if you're coming back in the market from a bad credit situation or you're 18 years old getting your first car. It doesn't matter. You're re-entering that market. And if you look at it that way, because look, I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm a 57-year-old guy. I had bad credit when I was 21 years old. I had bad credit when I was 31 years old. Twice. I fixed it both times, paid everyone I ever owed 10 cents to. But that's why I have a soft spot in my heart, because life happens.
Yeah.
There are some, what I call credit criminals, habitual offenders that just are born never to pay anybody. Right? But there's a big segment of that, group that it just life happened. Divorce happened. They lost a job. They got overextended. They got whatever. They screwed themselves up. So those are the people that I look to help. And I hope, in the rest of my career, I continue to do that,
Well, and I think that you're the right guy to do it. I see a lot of your videos on Facebook and your explanation to customers of, while we are not credit counselors, that we counsel you on your credit. Yeah. We're going to dive into this and really look. And I think if a dealer is going to sell to subprime, they have to do that.
And that's how we started our company. Every time we couldn't get a deal done, or even if they wouldn't agree on terms, I personally took the time to review their credit report with them, point out things they could do to improve and what they needed to get that deal done the way that they wanted to do it. And by doing that, I might not get the deal right then, but tax season, they all came back and said, Mike, you told me I got $3,000 now. I did this, I did that. They didn't all come back, but a certain percentage of them came back and we ended up making a deal. So that's how we built our business from the scratch,
Just curious, do you still do that yourself ever?
I do it once in a while, but I'm not on the desk as much as I should be. And I'm not, I always joke, I just shake hands and kiss babies now. I kind of make the customers feel warm and fuzzy if I see them, and I'll go and do a close. But I'm not the one that's actually in that. But I kind of encourage my entire staff to take those 5-10 minutes. If you can't get together with them, explain to them why you can't get together with them.
It costs you nothing.
Yeah. And it helps everybody in the long run, because you're the first person that ever did that.
Yeah.
We can't help you, and they broom you.
Yeah. All these people want is someone to care. And I got my start in subprime. We do a lot of work with subprime stores. And it's the conversation I have with my team all the time is they don't want you to pitch them. They want you to care. Yeah. Find the solution for them that, you're going to be different than any other dealership out there. If you're going to say the same thing that the rest of them are, then we might as well just close our doors, because we're not doing anything different. We have to care about them. We have to let them know that we care for sure, and that the whole store cares.
Absolutely. 100%.
This was raw. I like it.
It was good. I mean, it was therapeutic for me.
Good. Sending you a bill. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's real. I mean,
You know what?
struggle's
It's
real.
we were talking before we came on here, and I mentioned I couldn't help but notice at the end of the year of 2024 how few of dealers were talking about, the records they broke and how much money they made, and it was silent. There was crickets everywhere,
Yeah.
and I think that this is the conversation a lot of people won't have. So I'm hoping this opens the doors because I know you're not the only one that did it.
No.
We did it. We had the massive growth. I'm sitting in a 10,000 square foot building right now that has maybe 15 people in it.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody went for it. I mean, vendors alike, and I tell you what, August, September, October, November, December of this year, and you throw the election year, but those 5 months, I mean, December kind of like towards the end of the last week kind of picked back up and started looking normal, but it was rough.
Yeah.
And it always doesn't irritate me. I really just only worry about what I'm doing most of the time. But I noticed that there's certain dealers out there that no matter what happens, they're pounding their chest. And that's why I wanted to be raw with you today. I want people to feel comfortable. When you call me and talk to me about business, I'm going to tell you straight up exactly what's going on. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. Do I celebrate my highs? Yeah, it's natural. I'm going to say, boom, I did this, right? But those things will come back to bite you too, because, then you see them on your memories on Facebook when you're having a bad month. You're like, oh man, 2 years ago we kicked ass.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I do the same thing. I'll look back in my memories and tell where I was being super vague about something. And I was like, wonder what was going on then.
Yeah,
or like see one where I straight up said that, we just lost 6 dealers, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've done this before. I've gotten through it. I'll get through it again. And it's definitely the market right now. And I can see a shift too. And it's funny that you said like as of August, because we noticed it here too. And we work with dealerships across the country, prime and subprime, and something happened in August, whether we can point a finger and say it was this or if
I think it was the election. I think it was it was fatigue from inflation.
Yeah.
And it was the election. And I think the whole country, no matter what side of that you were on, was just so sick and tired of the crap. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this tension that you just want it to be over. I always equate it to this. If you worked at a company and there's 2 brothers that were fighting for control of the company, and every day it's your car dealership, and every day you come in, they're in the showroom screaming at each other. You get to the point where you don't even care who takes over. Just somebody stop the madness.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not productive because of that.
Yeah.
And that was our whole country. We weren't being productive because we were in this like state of like, just get this over with already.
Yeah. And I mean, from what I can see, especially compared to then, almost nobody's talking about it anymore. They don't really give a what way it turned out. They're just tired of fighting.
Yeah, it's just move on. Let's go. I'm very positive that I think 2025 will be somewhat of a recovery year for subprime, at least what I do,
I hope so for those customers. I mean, being on the front lines of hearing what these people go through and working with a lot of these stores. I mean, they're at the point where most of them don't even have a way to get to the store. They're relying on buses.
It's crazy how many times I hear they can't get to the store. They need their car for work. And like, look, I mean, that's why I'm saying early on, I'll just reiterate about the market shares. Like somebody will come in, recognize an opportunity to really eat up market share. Like Westlake Financial did that back in 2008, during the housing crisis. They exploded. And there'll be a bank like that, I think, that recognizes like, hey, there's an opportunity here to take massive market share, not just in new car sales like we spoke about earlier, but subprime auto, underwriting.
If I were jobless right now, I'd be reaching out to subprime dealerships offering to drive for them for a certain amount of dollars per hour to go pick up customers to bring to them. Like, cheaper than Uber and a taxi, but still providing that. I mean, that's one consistent thing. I mean, whether it's Michigan or West Virginia, the amount of increase I have seen in customers who do not even have a mode of transportation at all is huge. And when I think back to, I mean, we got to take COVID and all the COVID years out of the equation. When I came into the business is about the same time that you started the Carlisle store, 2012, 2013. I don't remember having that issue back then. No. I don't remember us being there.
It's completely different. People are hurting in all kinds of ways. It's, I think, more now than ever. and the money's not there. They're losing, their ability to make income. It's just all around. And then we didn't even get into negative equity, which that would take us another hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did it to ourselves.
Yeah.
All the people who wouldn't listen. I mean, I'm not even. We had a store, and I won't name drop them. I should, but I'm not going to. We had a store in Florida that during the height of, the inventory shortage had, I'm not even kidding you, consistent markups of $25,000 over MSRP on new vehicles, like on several models.
Insane. Like it's like the Tellurides and all that crazy stuff people
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was the Carnivals and the Tellurides. I'm not even kidding you. It was a Kia store, and they were still consistently the number 4 dealer in the state of Florida.
People were paying for it. I mean, we see a Telluride now. You're like, oh my gosh, how much do they owe on this damn thing?
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody tried to tell them like, hey, you're not going to be able to get this people out of it. Oh, but the money now.
It's just greed gets the best of us, and we're paying for it. It's a hangover. I knew the hangover was coming when we were going through 21, 22. I kept telling everyone, I said, look, this is like being Monday night at the bar. You're watching your football team play Monday Night Football, and you guys are winning, and you're just one more drink, and you have to work in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2023 was kind of when that alarm clock went off and we had to go back to work. I think now, 2024 was probably noontime and you still couldn't hold down a cheeseburger.
Yep.
But I think now we're not quite the happy hour yet with the hangover, but we're starting to feel a little bit better. We can at least keep some food down. And I think that's what 2025 is going to be, is like that kind of recovery time and just hopefully we learned our lesson. We don't go out boozing again,
Yeah, we can hope. I know there's people who won't, but I hope that they do. If there is somebody who's listening who is either, an owner of a dealership or even just an owner of a business who's feeling the same pressures you've talked about and, just maybe holding on to that one last thread going into 2025, what would you say is your piece of advice for them moving forward?
I just think you have to stay steady in your own confidence, right? I think like there's no one coming to save you. So if you don't show up and do the work, no one else is going to do it. And just take those battles head on. I look at it like everything in my life, I've always looked at like it was almost predetermined for me. So I don't take it personal. I know that this has been almost ordained upon me and that decision's been made on me, right? So I'm going to deal with it. And I do understand that once I get through it, there's a purpose for me to go through this. And I just have to keep chugging along. It's the giving up that like you just like want to hide and sit in a corner and cry about it. I mean, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? So if you look back on your life, like I'm 57, I can tell you, I talk about all my tough battles early on in my 20s and 30s and the bad credit I talked about earlier, those periods of time, they're badges of honor to me, man. Like they made me the person that I was meant to be at this particular moment. Without those experiences, so you can't appreciate these major highs that we high five each other about. Appreciate these times right now when it's really a struggle, and pay the attention to what you're going through, because there's lessons within this struggle that are going to take you forward. In 2-3 years from now, we'll be talking about it. We don't talk about 2008 like it's now, but going through 2008 was a really rough period for people. Right now, like, oh, it reminds me of 2008. Like, it's like, this is what we did. And it's kind of that same period for us, especially in subprime. So, and I don't know what everyone else is doing. I hear different stories. These guys are doing great. These guys are doing great. I just know what I'm doing. So not everyone's probably struggling. I know like some Toyota stores are kicking butt. There's like some other good stores out there. But if you are in that situation, I think you just stay steadfast. It's one foot in front of the other. It's handling each problem as it comes at you. It's planning, it's digging in, it's working hard, and it's understanding that this struggle will benefit you in the long run. You'll be better for it.
You are so resilient. I think if I had to find one word to cover, what you've been through over the past 12 years, I think resilience covers it. But the fact that you remain positive through it all and remain the guy that everybody needs to be, the face that everybody needs to look at for hope.
Yeah. I think it's tough, but I mean, I always feel like I was put in this position for a reason. I was the man that I always say that obviously someone thinks I can handle this struggle. or they wouldn't give it to me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll handle it.
I like that. I like that. Mike, thank you so much for this conversation. I really, really hope that that this conversation spoke to somebody, maybe more than one somebody, and inspires some people. So I love this conversation. I hate that I'm missing you at NADA. I wish you were going to be there.
Oh yeah, and listen, I'm always open. Anyone ever wants to call and be a shoulder to cry on or talk about the industry. My information's everywhere. So hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, or I'm on Clubhouse from time to time. So I'm available to anybody. I love talking to other people in the car business. So anybody who wants to chat, just let me know.
Yep. I'll link his Facebook and information down in the show notes for anybody who wants to reach out.
Thank you, Shasta.
Thank you. Remember, guys, in a world where you can be anything, remember to be kind, because you never know what battles others are facing. So while out in the world this week, remember to light it up. I'm Shasta.
Shasta. I know. I'm just.
We talked about that beforehand.
I said Shasta. You didn't even catch it. I said thank you.
It's okay. It's just like you when someone says Dorazio, we don't even think about it.
I was trying to see if you'd catch it. No,
I did. I was like, well, maybe you just forgot. Whatever. Anyways, remember to light it up this week, guys. Bye.
Thank you.